First of all, thank you everyone for coming and taking time out of your day to get through this very special event. I'm not going to apologize, but I did get the memo to wear blue, but today is also National Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day, so we have turned City Hall green, and you'll see many of us wearing green, but we will support you with blue throughout April. Thanks. So on behalf of the city, welcome and thank you. It's an honor and privilege to sit here and recognize something that's very near and dear to me, and that's children and youth in this community. So in honor of Child Abuse Prevention Month, I'd like to call up Carmelo, who is the Commissioner of Mental Hygiene and Social Services, to read this proclamation. I really didn't want to write a speech because I think this proclamation is much more fitting in covering everything that I feel is very important. So in recognition of Child Abuse Prevention Month in April of 2024, whereas children are our nation's most vulnerable members and our most valuable resources, shaping the future in the city of Jamestown. And whereas positive childhood experiences, such as loving caregivers and safe, stable, and nurturing relationships can mitigate trauma and the negative impact of adverse childhood experiences, promoting the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas childhood trauma can have a long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effect throughout an individual's lifetime and impact future generations of their family. And whereas childhood trauma, including abuse and neglect, is a serious problem affecting every community in the U.S., requiring collective action and solutions. And whereas children living in families with access to concrete economic and social supports are less likely to experience abuse and neglect. And whereas prevention efforts require partnerships between families, advocates, child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and government at all levels. And whereas solving the public health issue of abuse and neglect necessitates changing mindsets throughout storytelling, centering the needs of families, breaking down bias and barriers, and inspiring action from diverse partners in prevention. Whereas we are committed to advancing equitable, responsive, and effective systems, ensuring that all children and families are healthy and thriving. And whereas prioritizing children and investing in more prevention initiatives like home visiting, family strengthening policies, economic supports, and community-based child abuse prevention programs across government at all levels is imperative. Now therefore I, Kimberly A. Eklund, Mayor of the City of Jamestown, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 as National Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Jamestown. I call upon all citizens to recognize this month by building a narrative of hope for children and families through collaboration and creation of an ecosystem of primary prevention. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Jamestown to be affixed on this 25th day of March 2024. Thank you for all you do. Thank you to the youth for being here. It takes a village, and I'm going to continue to support this and make this a village effort. Thank you. That's for you. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Jason Schmidt, our district attorney, to say a few words.
How you guys doing? I look around you and I see high school students, or am I so old that I think everybody's much younger than me? How many of you guys are in high school? Yeah, so it's you guys, and it's the generation before you. It's all the children here that we really do this for, that we have to look out for. Who are our most vulnerable members of this society that need the most protection? It's the children. My message to all of you is if you see something, say something. If you're suspicious of something, say something. Because we can't get involved to protect the children without knowing. And you want to know a dirty little secret? That most kids, that when they're abused, do you think they just, well, there's a couple of dirty secrets here. One is when they're abused, who do you think's doing it? Do you think it's the stranger that's hiding in the back alleyway? No, it's happening inside their own homes. These are intimate family members sometimes that are perpetrating the abuse. And do you know how much inertia, how much effort that takes to tell on somebody who you might love that person? That person may be responsible for dropping you off at school every morning. That person may hold a job and hold the lease or the deed to your home. So to say something against that person takes everything, it just takes everything, because your world's going to fall apart as soon as you disclose. And you know what that means? That means you're probably not going to disclose until you're safe. When are you going to be safe? Maybe when you graduate from school, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years later down the road. And then all we have is your word against that person. You think that person's going to say anything? They're not going to say anything. If you see something, say something. If you're suspicious, there are telltale signs. Kids go through so many changes, and sometimes when kids are abused, you'll see them react in different ways. They may not tell their best friend, but they might change the way that they dress. All of a sudden, they're covering up more. Maybe they're eating a lot less, or maybe they're eating a lot more. We see it in all different ways. Maybe they went from being an extrovert that wanted to go out, listen to music, party, to just hanging out in their room, not socializing anymore, shutting down. If you're suspicious, say something. Who do you say it to? Well, maybe you say it to your teacher. Maybe you say it to the police. Say something to an adult. Say something. Don't stay quiet. Be part of this community. We're all a part of it. And that's one dirty secret. One dirty secret that I want you to remember is that 98% of the time, the abuse is occurring by a loved person. It's not the stranger out on the street that's going to attack you as you're walking by in the dark. It's happening inside their homes. The other dirty secret is that it's occurring to everybody. I didn't even appreciate that. I would look and have my own view of what child abuse looks like. Who could be vulnerable? I can't be vulnerable for child abuse. My kid can't be vulnerable. It's got to be this other person's kid. That's not true. What I've seen just trying to take these cases to trial, when you go to trial, you're trying to pick a fair and impartial jury. Well, guess what? You're meeting members of the community, like a lot of the adults in this room, and they come in strong, and they come in very assertive, and you would think to yourself, this person could never be a victim of child abuse. But guess what? I've seen 50-year-old men, tough guys, cops, military veterans, hunters, athletes, come in the courtroom when they have to disclose whether they can be fair and impartial. They'll start crying, and they've tucked away inside their backgrounds that they suffered from abuse. So it could happen to anyone. It could happen to you, the person sitting next to you, anybody. Stay vigilant. We're all together in this. Every one of us are together during this. If you see something, say something. If you're suspicious, voice those suspicions. To me, when we talk about prevention, there's only so much we could do. It's deterrence. It's by prosecuting those cases, getting convictions, putting people away so that that person can never hurt another child again. So that people that know that person will know that they can never hurt a child again. But we need to do that together as a group, and that requires speaking up. In an age where kids know to shut down and be quiet and they don't really want to communicate with adults, this is the exception to the rule. This is where you need to say something. And that's my message to each of you. Anyway, I want you to know that law enforcement is behind this. We've devoted so much resources to this category of cases. How do we help the most vulnerable segment of our community? What can we do? We can't ignore any of this. We're going to do our very best and apply all of our resources to prosecuting these cases. We need your help. With that, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I want to introduce the next speaker who you met earlier. It's Carmelo Hernandez. Here in Chautauqua County, we have the Office of Mental Hygiene and Social Services that includes the Department of Social Services, our brave and courageous caseworkers that are out there that have to investigate abuses. Well, Director Hernandez is responsible for that group, and with pleasure, I'm pleased to introduce our partner, Carmelo Hernandez. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for having me, and especially thank you for the youth to coming out and being a part of this. This is, to me, I was shocked. I got asked when I got here a little bit earlier, how many people were we expecting? I was like, I have no idea, and I am completely amazed and thankful to see so many people being a part of this. So when we talk about child abuse prevention, right, Prevention Month, I'm glad we have a month, but I think this should be all year, every day, every second, every hour, and it should be for all of us. I want to first say also that all our community partners, I mean, you guys give yourself a round of applause for what you do day in and day out to help prevent our youth from being in these situations. And youth as well, I want to share something with you that was shared with me by my mentor as I was going to become a therapist, right? And she looked me in my eyes and she goes, no child is born and says, I want to be a murderer, I want to be a rapist, I want to be a criminal, I want to be abused, I want to be a victim. You're all innocent. You're all innocent. In my time in Iraq and Afghanistan, especially in Afghanistan, I remember the kids, man, they were running around and they were going so crazy, screaming the word kalam. And I was like, what are they going so crazy about it? And that meant pen. And they were excited about a pen. And I'm sitting here in a third world country, you give them a pen, it's like you showed them Santa Claus. They loved every minute of it. They loved it. For me, and this is why it's so important for everybody being here, I was born in the South Bronx. I'm not from Chautauqua County. I'm from the Bronx, New York, from New York City. I was born to my mother. She was 14 years old at the time. My dad was in prison. That's my story. But the reality was that the way child abuse prevention was prevented for me, it took a village. So I had my grandmother, I had the gentleman at the corner store, I had my coaches, I had my teachers, I had my principals. So I share that to say you guys are very important in how we make it to the next step. I was asked not too long ago, how do we combat this opioid epidemic? How do we combat everything? And in terms of what we're seeing as a society. And I said, our youth. Our youth. I said, we treat everybody, but we start planting those seeds right here with each and every one of you. Each and every one of you could be and will be a teacher, a mother, a father, astronaut, a scientist, a lawyer, a therapist, even a politician. The power is yours. You're worth it. You're worth every damn amount of energy that goes into this day in and day out, and I want you to know you can do it. See something, say something, whoever you're comfortable with, that's okay, but you have a bunch of cheerleaders behind you that want to see you succeed. We all want to see you succeed. I'm just the pawn here, and my goal is, and my role is, just to have you guys succeed in any way, shape, or form. So thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for being here. And with that being said, I would like to introduce our Safe Harbor Coordinator, Child Advocacy Center, Sarah Dean Randall. Thank you very much for coming out.
Hey everybody. My name is Sarah Dean Randall, and I am the Safe Harbor Coordinator at the Child Advocacy Program. The Safe Harbor is the New York State and the county's anti-trafficking initiative. Safe Harbor is the response to the growing number of trafficking and commercial sexual exploitation that's happening in this society. It's happening right here in Chautauqua County, and that's what I'm here to combat. Safe Harbor program focuses on the prevention, identification, and coordination of a multidisciplinary response to these types of cases. And the Child Advocacy Program is a trauma-informed nonprofit agency that supports a team approach to child physical and sexual abuse allegations, child exploitation concerns, as well as providing advocacy for children who are exposed to drugs, alcohol, or domestic violence. It's our mission at the Child Advocacy Program to end abuse in Chautauqua County. When abuse occurs, the Child Advocacy Program coordinates a community response to bring healing, hope, and justice to these children and their families. Child abuse and neglect are preventable, and all communities benefit where children and families are well supported. We can build a hopeful future together. So thank you for everyone who's coming out today. I really appreciate it. Those of you who are participating in spreading awareness about child abuse, those of you who are interested in learning more about preventing child abuse in our community. Today we're kicking off the April Awareness Campaign a little bit early because we're trying to do this before spring break happens when people go on vacation. But it's also going to be great to have these pinwheels out in our community throughout the month of April when we have these visitors coming up for the solar eclipse. So it's going to show people that are coming up to visit that we stand united as a unity, as a community, to prevent child abuse. As a Jamestown resident, I am honored to be here today as we recognize the importance of a strong community involvement in raising today's children and our shared responsibility to lessen the impact of childhood trauma. This month-long campaign, formerly known as the Child Abuse Prevention Month, has transitioned its name to Family Strength and Support Month to reflect our goal of addressing problems before they start, to be proactive instead of reactive. This month-long observance allows us to promote simple actions that can make a big difference in the lives of children by strengthening families and communities. We can prevent child abuse by removing barriers to healthy parenting. Involvement shows families that your community are supported, not just by agencies, organizations, schools, or churches, but by the community as a whole. We recognize that all community members have a role in ensuring children have positive experiences and families have the resources that they need when they need them, well before they are in crisis. The unfortunate truth is children and families in our county and across America are struggling. Nationally, approximately 5 children die every day due to child abuse. 1 out of 3 girls and 1 out of 5 boys will be sexually abused before they reach the age of 18. 90% of child sex abuse victims know their perpetrator in some way. Last year, in 2023, there were 2,603 reports of child abuse in our county. CAP served nearly 350 local children, and we identified 63 youth to be at risk of human trafficking or commercial sexual exploitation. But here's the thing, child abuse is preventable. Child abuse and neglect are completely preventable, and all communities benefit when children and families are well supported. Research shows that when families know they have support and access to resources, they're better parents. A strong, supportive community can help value families and children and parenting in a safe environment that reduces the risk to children. Parents who know that they have support and access to resources are better parents. We acknowledge the crucial connection between happy childhoods and a hopeful future for every child and commit to working together to ensure all children and families have the resources and support they need to reach their full potential. So thank you for joining us in doing these things and ensuring that every child has the nurturing environment that they deserve for a better future. This month-long awareness campaign allows us to promote simple actions that can make a big difference in the lives of children by strengthening families and communities. A strong community helps parents learn, supports them, and reduces stress through programs and services that emphasize protective factors. Recognizing the signs of abuse, knowing how to respond and react to child abuse, and reporting suspicions of abuse are vital actions for our community, along with education on preventative factors. We've created a flyer that will be available soon. It's going to be on a QR code that we're going to adhere to our pre-existing yard signs. That way, community members who want to learn more about what child abuse looks like, how to recognize the signs, how to report, and how to learn more about preventative factors will be easily available. Some quick preventative factors: having parent resilience. Resilience is the ability to manage and bounce back from all types of challenges. It means finding ways to solve problems and knowing how to seek help when necessary. Having social connections. And isolated families may need extra support in reaching out for help. Support in times of need. Meeting basic economic needs like food, shelter, clothing, and healthcare is essential for families to thrive. This includes crisis situations such as domestic violence, mental illness, or substance abuse. Adequate services and supports need to be in place to provide stability, treatment, and help for family members. Knowledge of parenting and childhood development. Accurate information is so important for family members to know. Early education for youth. Adults are responsible for ensuring that children have safe, stable, nurturing relationships and environments. Resources for child sexual abuse have mostly focused on treatment for victims and criminal justice-oriented approaches for the perpetrators. These efforts are important for children of sex abuse after it has occurred. However, there's a gap in primary prevention for preventing childhood sexual abuse. Effective evidence-based strategies are available to proactively protect children from child sexual abuse, but few have been widely utilized in our educational systems. These strategies help ensure that all children have safe, stable, nurturing relationships and environments. And some other ways the community can be involved: April 5th is Wear Blue Day. Dress in blue to stand in solidarity for child abuse prevention efforts, and use hashtag WearBlueDay2024. Utilize hashtags like hashtag Building Together, hashtag Cap Month 2024, and hashtag Hopeful Futures. Follow social media pages of organizations that are dedicated to assisting families and youth. Prevention is key, it's instrumental, and the answer to reducing child abuse. The solution starts by learning the steps that we all can take to prevent abuse, recognize the warning signs, and react responsibly when a child is in danger. Thank you all so much, each and every single one of you, for the work you do, the support that you're giving, the awareness that you bring. Parents, caregivers, families need a strong, supportive community, and today we are showing them that we are in unity together to bring this cause to light. And like Carmela was saying, this needs to be a year-long thing, and I am really glad that we do get together to really highlight this and show our community that we stand together. As we plant these pinwheels, we are also planting seeds of hope for a better future for our community to continue to learn, grow, and thrive. Thank you guys so much. Up next, we have two students from the Jamestown Public Schools. We have Thomas and Joshua up here to present to you guys. Thank you again.
Good afternoon. I am Thomas Gessie from Jamestown High School. I am a sophomore, and I am also a proud member of the Justice for All class. As kids, we grew up thinking that our parents knew everything. We would ask them questions every second of every single day. No matter how bizarre, we expected an answer. Sure, maybe at that age, we could look at someone older and bigger and assume they've been through it all. But what we most of the time fail to recognize is that it's their first time living too. Our parents, our grandparents, our teachers, our bosses, our friends, and every single one of us are experiencing life for the first time. That's why this month we are not only here to reach out to children in need of safety and support, but we also lend knowledge and understanding for those parents or guardians out there who need our help as well. For the parents who are struggling to provide for their family, or the new parents who may not understand how to support another life, or maybe the parents that have just run out of answers to what's this? Our goal is to make sure everyone knows that they are seen and that they do not need to be afraid to reach out for our help and from their community, because children are not the only ones who need us. I know that there are so many people in our community alone who feel as though they have hit a dead end. We are all here at this moment to listen to these speakers and show our support for a cause that seems to have no end. We fight so hard for the safety and security of these children that need us that we turn a blind eye to the actual issue at hand. It can be so easy to look at a parent mistreating their children and tell them to just do better. But who are we to not tell them how? This is not a fight against parents. This is a fight against abuse. Our support and our help means nothing if we sit back and watch the abuse happen until it's so bad we have to step in. If we believe that we know what's best for these children, and if we genuinely care for them the way we came here to show, then we will not just prevent their abuse, we will end it. Thank you for your attention and support. Let's continue this fight together.
This mic might be a little too short for me, so I hope you can hear me. But good afternoon, and thank you all for showing your support for this meaningful work to help families thrive. My name is Joshua Skinner, and I am also a proud member of Ms. Robert's Jamestown High School Justice for All class. Today, we have heard multiple people speak, either in solidarity with others or from their own experiences. First, I would like to give them all some more appreciation, so if we could just give them another round of hand. And thank you, again, for being strong enough to share such a vulnerable part of your story with us. And to the rest of you who are here to show support, thank you. You matter, and what you're doing matters. Everyone is here today for the same reason: to help bring awareness and encourage community involvement in the work to strengthen the bonds within our own families, to bring about preventative actions of childhood abuse. You are the people of the future and those who will continue to fight for change. And now, to close this powerful ceremony, I would like to invite you all to follow us JHS students to the high school around the corner to help us plant these pinwheels in our front yard. We hope to spread more awareness to the ideas of strengthening families' ties to each other and fixing the bonds that are broken. Thank you again for being here, and we will be leaving shortly. The Justice for All students will lead you all there. Thank you.